honor, integrity, patriotism, a commitment to excellence. The United States Air Force Academy.
Forward, on!
Since the mid-1950s, the Academy has been the training ground for many of the nation's top pilots and military officers. Courageous pilots who have flown thousands of missions in Vietnam and other wars. Heroic pilots killed in action. Pilots who were captured, spending years as prisoners of war. It was their endurance of torture and isolation and their ability to survive that proved them worthy of their Academy appointment and sets the standard for every cadet who follows in their footsteps.
To the rear, march!
As an officer in the largest and best equipped Air Force in the world. In 1976, women joined the ranks of the Cadet Corps. It was an historically controversial and divisive moment at the Academy because many in the Air Force believed women simply do not belong here. Welcome, I'm John Ferrugia. The past 5 months have been the most tumultuous in the history of the U.S. Air Force Academy. The entire leadership, including 2 generals, has been replaced. The famous inscription, "Bring me men," has been removed from the granite walls where it was once thought to be as permanent as the institution itself. And there are 4 separate investigations into the conduct of male cadets toward women at the Academy. All this because a 7 News investigation found female cadets who reported sexual assault were systematically investigated, often punished for infractions unrelated to the assault, and in some cases drummed out of the Academy. This is the story of women abused by fellow cadets and betrayed by the very honor code they swore to uphold, and how these revelations have shaken the very foundation of the United States Air Force Academy.
I grew up in this backyard looking at the sky all the time, and every time I saw a plane, it really gave me chills. I knew flying was something that I always wanted to do. The dream was to be an Air Force officer and to fly jets.
The Air Force Academy, along with the other service academies, is the dream of thousands of the nation's brightest and most patriotic young people who embrace the regimented military lifestyle and pledge themselves to a code of honor. But behind the facade of spit polish and sharp creases is a culture that many women have found to be accepting of rape and sexual assault.
If the administration doesn't kick you out, the rest of the cadets will. So don't report it.
A culture where a male cadet can be expelled for lying but can receive only a minor reprimand for date rape.
And it seemed like these guys were getting off the hook, you know, and if they did get punished, it was like a slap on the hand.
A culture where women who report a crime are themselves targeted by their peers and the administration for expulsion.
They wanted to put blame on somebody, and it was hard to put it on 3 guys as opposed to 1 freshman girl.
A culture where it's made clear to women cadets that if they report a rape by another cadet, their days at the Academy are numbered.
If you want your career to just dissolve in front of you, then go report.
When Liz left her family farm for the Air Force Academy, she knew as a freshman she was in for the toughest regimen of her life.
You don't have a voice at all, and anybody that tries to have a voice, is reprimanded and ridiculed to some extent by the upperclassmen.
These upperclassmen control cadets' lives, giving reprimands or hits for any real or imagined violations.
This person can ruin your life as well as the lives of the other 30 or so that are in your class, in your squadron.
They control you.
Yes.
Liz says she was targeted as a freshman by friendly emails from an upperclassman, offering to hold some everyday items for her that freshmen weren't allowed to have. But then, knowing he had something he could hold against her, the emails turned ugly. So he was blackmailing you?
Yes. He said, "You know what you have to do." And then at that point, I would say no.
But no wasn't enough. His threats intensified, and Liz was desperate.
And if there was something that I had done that was, if it was insubordination or something like that, it would have come back down on all my classmates. He was telling me that if I wanted to rectify the problem, that I had to talk to him in person, and he would meet me at the bottom of the stairs.
And there, outside her dorm, on Academy grounds, she was raped.
He forced me physically. at that point.
After the assault, Liz hit bottom.
You are completely degraded. You feel like you're dirty. You feel like, you know, nobody's going to believe you. You know, you're not worth anything.
Because she knew he could damage her career, she decided not to report it.
I really sincerely wanted to completely forget about it and try to keep moving on with my career.
But he wouldn't let you?
No, it didn't end. From the time period of August to March of my freshman year, I was raped and assaulted 5 times. And it was the hardest time. I just remember being so scared. I knew that anything that I said was going to be blown up. He was threatening to spread rumors about me that were untrue, you know, as to, you know, get others punished in my class. And
all the while, Liz's closest friends were telling her not to report the rapes by her superior.
People over and over continued to tell me that the victim becomes the victimized, you know, don't talk.
That is the message that seems to permeate the culture of the Academy. The message that no current woman cadet can speak about without hiding her identity.
Rape is acceptable, and don't say anything about it. Because if you do, they're going to find some way to keep you quiet, to get you out, or to punish you, to get you in trouble.
Anne is a rape survivor presently at the Air Force Academy.
No one wants to report. They know and they've seen other cadets get in trouble for reporting their sexual assault.
These recent cases come almost 10 years after the Academy admitted it had a serious problem with sexual assaults. In fact, in 1994 and 1995, a GAO investigation found pervasive problems, including unwelcome, deliberate physical contact of a sexual nature. In response, the Academy set up the Cadets Advocating Sexual Integrity and Education, or CASE program, so women would have a hotline to call, a hotline staffed by trained cadets. Anne is one cadet who worked closely with the CASE program.
In the time that I've been familiar with the CASE program, I have known of roughly 20 reports in one semester.
In one semester?
In one semester.
20 women who reported attacks?
Correct. The administration knows. They get briefed about the quantity of calls, and they know of the ones who have officially reported.
Do you know the number of female cadets on an annual basis who call the hotline who say they've been sexually assaulted while at this institution?
No.
Why not?
I guess I'm confused as to asking why not. That is not the focus of our counseling program.
Major Kelly Phillips Henry is Chief of Sexual Assault Services at the Air Force Academy.
When you want to know how many of those occur at the Air Force Academy, is that not important?
Every sexual assault to any of our cadets are important. One is too many. So for us, what we look at is when they report, how do we help them maintain themselves, continue with their academics, continue with the stresses so that they do not disenroll. That is the focus of a victim-focused program.
2 weeks after this interview, the Air Force supplied information admitting that 24 women called the hotline in 2002 reporting sexual assault. In January of this year, officials told us there had been 91 reports to the hotline since 1996. 20 of those cases had been formally investigated, and at the time, officials told us no cadet had ever been court-martialed for assaulting another cadet.
Was the CASE program any help to you?
No, not at all. I felt that if I called them, it's a bunch of cadets, and I didn't want other cadets to know about my case.
Despite the risks, Liz decided to report her assault to the Air Force Office of Special Investigations. That began months of questioning by investigators over and over, every detail.
My story was completely straight and narrow, you know, the entire time. And, you know, they were trying to trip me up. They were trying to find fault in my story, and it never surfaced.
And while her story never changed, her life at the Academy did.
It became clear to me that I was going to be the black sheep, you know, the one in the Academy that you know, was not liked
Finally, she was called in by her superiors and told the investigation had ended.
They told me that I was to be expecting a number of Form 10s. They said Class D hits coming down.
Which are reprimands.
Right, punishments. One for sex in the dorms, for being raped. One for alcohol, because my perpetrator was buying alcohol for my classmates and coming back to me and telling me that I owed him for it. Not monetarily, but, you know, in favors. And then the third Class D hit was fraternization, because he was an upperclassman and I was a freshman.
You're telling me that you reported a rape and that you're getting a reprimand for having sexual activity in the dorm.
Right. I was flabbergasted. I was just really floored. I remember I started to cry as I'm looking at these officers, and they all know that everything I've done is, you know, the right thing to do. I've been standing up for what I believe in. My case was so strong.
What was the message then to other women?
To not at all talk. I mean, who wants to talk when they're going to be punished? You know, each individual Class D hit is grounds for disenrollment.
These are believable women, and I'm appalled.
We took our findings, along with statements of former women cadets, to Senator Wayne Allard. Now, he's a member of the Armed Services Committee and also the Board of Visitors at the Air Force Academy.
This is very disturbing.
Almost immediately, he sent an official letter to the Secretary of the Air Force requesting a full and complete investigation into this matter. He said he was concerned that school officials may have attempted to prevent an investigation.
You came to me with the facts that you shared with me, and I carried those forward to the Chairman of the Armed Services Committee. He agreed that we have a serious problem, and as a result of that, we've written a letter, and I know that they've increased the intensity of that investigation. I think that they understand that he means business, and so we'll see what happens with the investigation.
I've gone up and down in my chain of command, and I've lost faith in my chain of command, and that's why I'm turning to you to hopefully get people to realize that this is a problem and it needs fixed. We need help.
After a year of fighting the system, Liz finally gave up her dream and left the academy.
What's driving you?
What's driving me is the thought of the person that is my spitting image before I went in the academy. The fairly innocent, naive girl that doesn't have the first thing to believe about the military, doesn't know anything about what she's getting into. That image is driving me, because that girl is walking into a pit of wolves, a sea of sharks, and has no idea. It's got to change. It's got to change.